Hey, what's happening, peeps? We back again with another one. I appreciate y'all tuning in today's episode. I got some content I want to drop on you. I think you guys are going to find value in it. Before we get too deep in today's episode, as always, like, comment, subscribe to the channel, tell a friend to tell a friend. Appreciate all the feedback. Keep it coming. Let me know what you want to hear more of, and I want to keep providing content you guys find value in as well. So, today's episode, I think some great content for you. Let's talk about it. It's not necessarily the most exciting topic to talk about, but I think it's important to have a discussion on it. And I guys want to give you some tips and things that can help you guys out if you find yourself in this situation, or to get prepared for this situation as well, right? And what I'm referring to is layoffs, right? Yeah, I mean, it happens, right? People get laid off, you get severance packages, companies downsize, et cetera, for whatever reason, right? And so what I want to focus on today is just kind of helping you navigate those waters, maybe try to help you understand the warning signs, if you will, right? Or be cautionary on some details as well. So, first and foremost, it's just a stressful time, right? Nobody likes to hear that. Nobody likes to be laid off, right? I think we all want to leave and go out on our own terms. And so anytime you hear the word layoff, even if you're not impacted or if you are impacted, directly or indirectly, right? Because it can impact you even if you don't get laid off, because you may be losing a friend or someone that you have a rapport with. And, that's just a stressful element for it as well. So what I want to just talk about first and foremost is just maybe some warning signs. So these are things that I feel like, they don't mean that there's just a red flag, right? But it definitely is something you want to be cautious of. And when you start to hear these terms or these things going on with inside of the organization there as well. So the first one I have is just restructure, right? So a lot of times when you start to hear that word, restructuring, change within the organization, especially if you hear it multiple times, right? If you hear a restructure and then a year later there's another restructure, definitely something to be aware of. But anytime you start to hear that term restructure, just kind of start putting your antennas up, because that could typically be a warning sign for a layoff. Part of that restructure, they're putting different teams, organization, who reporting to whose responsibilities are going to be what going forward. And so that can be something that can actually be a reason for a layoff there as well. So that's the first one here. The next one I have up is anytime you start hearing the term how to cut cost, definitely a sign, right? Because if you think about from an organization, right, really the biggest expense typically is the staff, right? Because they're paying your salary, paying your benefits, paying your retirement. And then there's a risk of, they're paying your PTO, but there's the risk of you not being able to work, and they're having to train someone else in there as well to do your work or do your role, or, whatever you have to do from a responsibility standpoint. But anytime you hear the word cut cost, definitely just start to have the red flag up, man. It's just something I would hate for you not to be aware of or be conscious of when you hear that term used inside your organization there. The next one I have is hiring freeze, right? Sometimes it's not necessarily the reason that they're going to lay off. Maybe they just feel like, hey, we're not going to lay off anybody, but we're not going to hire anybody or promote anybody into any other roles. But in the same breath, it typically is a sign of the financials, the profit and losses aren't necessarily in the direction that they want them in. And so hiring freeze is another warning sign that you would want to be aware of when it comes to potential layoffs there as well. The next one I have is, anytime you hear the term third-party consultant being hired by the company, that's a really big red flag, right? And what I mean by that is a third-party consultant is a company that's going to come in, look at the business, and tell you what you need to do to improve the business, right? So think about this. If I don't know anything about this particular industry, I don't know anything about their training, the type of conversations, the type of client that they have, what I'm really going to be looking at is the profits and losses. And what they're really going to say is, how can we cut costs, right? And that really goes back to that previous one. But that third party consultant, really, there a lot of times they're going to come in and say, if you do A, B, and C, you cut these costs, you'll actually raise your profit by A, B, and C as well. And so that third party consultant is probably a high, red flag number, I would say, to be aware of, be on alert for, that, layoffs are potentially on the horizon there. So, and I kind of mentioned this one here previously when I was talking about the third party consultant and hiring freeze there, but not profitable. So if the company's not profitable, if they're, even if it's a not-for-profit, right? Public education school system have to bring in a certain level of revenue to be able to operate from a business standpoint there as well, when it comes to their staff, food, things that they have to buy, etc. as well. So anytime you're in an organization and if they're not profitable, especially if they typically are having really good profit years previously there, or you start to see it's declining, red flag for sure on it as well. So, and then I got two more on this. So one thing I'll just mention on here, it's kind of something to be aware of. It kind of goes into that restructuring, but I want to just dive a little bit deeper, because a lot of times restructuring is just moving kind of the chairs around, if you will, in that aspect of it. This can be another caveat of restructuring, but sometimes it's not always that. It's just time for change, more or less, is what will happen. So if you start to see lots of senior leadership leaving the company, right, that's another red flag, right? So if you think about that aspect of it, if you're going to restructure, right, you may have people have different roles and responsibilities, right? But if you are seeing a lot of senior leadership leave the organization and new leadership come into the organization, they're going to come in because they have a different set of ideas, a different mindset, and they want to kind of put their imprint on that. And so what you'll see is a little bit of a turnover. They'll try to get out, the old and get the new in, the people that they feel like will implement what they're feeling like the direction that they want to go in terms of their role capacity there as well. So if you see a lot of senior leadership, retiring or leaving the organization there, be aware of that, especially if you start to see it in a chain line, right? So if this person and this person and this person who all report in the same chain leave, red flag, be on the lookout for that. And then the last one I have is just early retirement packages. A lot of times you'll see voluntary severance packages offered to individuals or to groups of people. And so that's typically because not profitable, cutting costs, and the third party consultants probably came in and gave some type of insight on that as well. Also, there's new leadership coming in and they're trying to get out the old guard, if you will. So if you start to see that early retirement package, and sometimes it depends on how many people take the package as well. And so I can talk about, that kind of, should you take the early retirement package or severance package? If you guys want to hear that, let me know. I can talk about that in another episode there as well. But early retirement is definitely just some things you want to be aware of, that early retirement package or voluntary severance package there as well. And so we covered some of the warning signs. I want to give you some pre-layoff steps, or things to be aware of, or things that you can do to kind of get prepared for a potential layoff, right? So the first one I'm just going to mention is the WARN notices, WARN. I'm drawing a blank on the acronym, but I believe it's if you have more than 100 employees in the state, they have to give a formal announcement of an upcoming layoff on it as well. And so if you Google WARN notices in your state, you should be able to pull it up, and it'll give you kind of anticipated layoffs that are coming. You can kind of keep that on your radar with your company to see if there's some news being announced there, things that you want to, get prepared for as well. So that's something definitely to just kind of periodically check for. Even if the company's in good standing, you may just want to quickly get on the Googles, hit it, check it out, and see if anything's going on. You may even be able to alert some of your friends. Hey, I don't know if you know this, but I just saw this on this site. Your company looks like they're going to be doing some layoffs. Definitely stay. Share the information as well. If you know something, you can help one of your peers or friends out. But some other pre-layoff things I think you can do. First one, I kind of touched on it with the warnings. We can share a friend, but network. Network internally and externally, right? Sometimes if you're anticipating a layoff, it may be just this particular group of the company is getting laid off, or they're outsourcing that particular group as well. So network with people inside of the organization, build rapport with them. You can try to maybe set yourself up for another opportunity that may be coming down the road if you feel like it may be impacting your particular business unit, but also networking externally. It's big for you to create an ecosystem of people that you can collaborate with. You can trade ideas. You can give them information. They can give you information, but also they can help you if you do get laid off, getting back into the workforce there as well. So the next one I have is just update your resume. I think you should update your resume regularly, right? We talk about doing performance reviews, annual reviews, quarterly reviews. This is basically you giving a prequel of information that you can put on your resume. So anytime you do an annual review, a quarterly review, some type of review within your job, look at that information and say, hey, is this good information for me to go ahead and update on my resume, specifically on the annual review stuff? So keep your resume up to date at all times. You don't want to have an opportunity come to you and you feel like I got to go update my resume because I haven't updated it in 4 or 5 years. That's bad for you. Your time is not on your side in that situation. Keep it updated. Keep a copy of it on your phone if you got a smartphone. Keep a copy of it in your email. It is extremely important that you have it accessible to you at all times there as well. The next one I have listed here is just reviewing your finances, right? Review your financial picture, see if things are in a good situation for you, kind of understand where you are, do a little bit of an assessment to, just see what your finance, what your money is looking like in that aspect of it, and just try to get prepared, make sure you're buttoned up on it from that perspective there. And then the next one I've got is actually see, if you heard there's some layoffs or you're thinking there's a timeline, see if you have time to maybe get an additional certifications or some type of license over that period of time in preparation that if you are laid off, not only do you have your current work experience, but you tacked on another certification to make yourself more marketable there as well. So a lot of people don't think about that, but I'm telling you, it can be extremely important for you to get that additional certification because a lot of people won't actually do that, right? So you bring your work experience, and then in the meantime, you went and got a certification. And it sounds better if you say, hey, I went and got certification, I paid for it out of pocket, right? It's kind of like you're invested in yourself. That companies like to hear that. So if your current company will pay for it, by all means, let them pay for it. But if they don't, look and see if you can pay for it yourself there as well. So the last one in this situation is just start applying for jobs before any type of announcement, right? If you feel like there's a potential opportunity for layoffs there, start seeing what jobs are out there. If you see something you're interested in, put your name in the hat. You don't have to say yes or accept the job, but you can start to put your name in the hat. And I'm telling you that because you don't want to be the last one on the boat when the ship sinks, right? Because then there's no life rafts. So if you feel like that's some type of, the red sign, the warning signs that I talked about, start to look at job opportunities and things that you can apply apply for, and try to get your name out there and try to get yourself in a better situation that you feel for you and your family there as well. And now let's just talk about the situation, right? So those were all kind of warning signs and pre-layoff. Let's just talk about layoffs, right? What you should do or how you should react on there, right? So my first kind of tip I want to say don't panic, but have a sense of urgency, right? Obviously, if they have a severance package, you take that. But don't panic, but have a sense of urgency, meaning you got to try to, get things in motion to get your next opportunity lined up for you there as well. Hopefully you've been doing some of the, seeing the warning signs, did some of the pre-layoff stuff that I just preached to you guys, or, dropped on you. But even in the situation, you just don't have enough time. Don't panic, but have a sense of urgency, right? The next one is if you have a severance, don't wait until it runs out to try to start job searching, right? A lot of people will get some severance packages, and I've seen some pretty good severance packages, and they'll let that run out, and then once they've got to their last paycheck or their last payout of it, then they'll start to look for jobs. That's not what you want to do. You want to have a sense of urgency to get a job as quick as possible. So if you have a company, they give you a severance package, and they say they're going to give you 13 weeks pay, or 20 weeks of pay, right? And they're going to pay that out accordingly to you. If you can get a job quickly, you'll be double dipping, right? Because you'll have the new job paycheck plus this severance package that's coming to you as well. So, yeah, don't wait until the last minute to try to get a job until your severance package is run out there as well. And then the last one I'm here is going to say, reach out to your network, right? So hopefully you've been networking. It's very organic, but reach out to people in your network, and see if they have some information, something that you can help in, something they can help you with as well. And if you're reaching out to someone, look at the company they work for and see if they have jobs posted that you're interested in. Don't just get on the phone or have a conversation or meet with someone and they say, "What are you looking to do?" I think the worst response that you can give is, "I'm willing to do anything." Yeah, you are, but tell them what you're really interested in, right? Give them some type of direction so they can say, "Okay, well, maybe that may not work for you right away, but I might be able to get you in this role. We can transition to this role as well." So don't just, tell them, "Hey, I'm willing to do anything," because that's like you're just telling them to, throw spaghetti on the wall and see what sticks, right? Have some type of research. You've looked at the company they work for. If there's an opportunity, something that you're interested in, let them know in the course of that conversation that you're having with that person, "Hey, I'm interested in this role, this opportunity there." So, yeah, I mean, so just that's kind of recapping everything. Layoffs, again, it's a stressful time. Gave you guys some of the warning signs, gave you some pre-layoff tips, and then just talking about the approach if you are laid off there as well. So I hope you guys find value in that. I think there was a lot of jewels in there. Let me know if I missed anything in the comments. As always, appreciate everybody joining in today's episode. And as always, if I'm lit and you lit, then we lit. So stay lit.